Hey guys, it's good to be with you here tonight on this Sunday evening, Palm Sunday. Of course, we celebrate Palm Sunday. It is going to be Easter week this week. It's going to look a little different than normal, and I'm not so sure how I feel about that, but I am excited that the kingdom of God is still growing, and Jesus died on the cross over 2,000 years ago, but it is still relevant today in my life, and He is ever changing my life and just making it even better and giving me hope and giving me joy and giving me peace in a time of trial, in a time of doubt, and it's a time of many people are fearful. So I am thankful for what Jesus did and how it still applies to me today. So today we are going to talk about the parable of the Good Samaritan, and I hope you all are being Good Samaritans. And of course, the way we be Good Samaritans today is by staying away and social distancing and making sure we have that 6 foot in between people and only doing the essential things. But we are going to read in Luke chapter 10, if you'll turn there. Luke chapter 10, verse 30 is where we're going to start. And it says, "And Jesus replied with a story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. But by chance, a priest came along. But when he saw the man laying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him laying there, but he also passed by on the other side. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. He felt compassion. So going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn, where he then took care of him. The next day he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, 'Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I will pay the next time I'm here.' Now, which of these 3 would you say was a good neighbor to this man who was attacked by bandits?" Jesus asked. And the man replied, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus said, "Yes, now go and do the same." So Jesus, the question he asked that we're focusing on this week is, who was a good neighbor? So Jesus asked that question, and of course the man replied by the one who showed him mercy. And in today's society, mercy might look a little different than picking someone up on the side of the road with bandages. But mercy might mean feeding the poor. Mercy might mean helping out at a local food shelter, right? Our church pastor mentioned this morning we've helped out in many ways. I know the youth have helped out in many ways. I know a couple years ago when we went to Reach Conference, we put in bags all these things of food. It was pallets upon pallets upon pallets, and we bagged them and gave them away that day. And we've been a part of many different outreaches who have done the same. So maybe that's the way showing mercy looks, or maybe showing mercy right now means picking up groceries for your elderly neighbor, or maybe it means just talking to them from across the street, right? Because we know it is a time when we can feel very lonely. And today on this Palm Sunday, Jesus, of course, was entering the city, and he was preparing to die, and he was preparing for what this week meant to him. But this week, as we're preparing for Easter Sunday, as we're preparing for Good Friday service, if you know, we have Good Friday, we're going to be doing communion, family communion at the church. So make sure you get details on that. It's from 7 to 8, and we are going to do family communion. So you'll drive through, get a baggie, and then you can do family communion at home, or you can park in the parking lot. And please make sure you leave one space in between, so we do listen to the social distancing and be a good neighbor. But Jesus, of course, wants us to show mercy. And I want to challenge you guys this week. What does mercy look like? What does it look like to be a good neighbor? And of course, we are all social distancing and we're staying in our homes, but there's still ways that we can be a good neighbor. Maybe it's picking up sticks in our neighbor's yard. Maybe it is, like I said, buying groceries for someone. Maybe it is just listening to someone, right? Give them a call and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Maybe it's FaceTiming that person you haven't talked to in a while and just seeing, "Hey, What's going on in your life? How are you doing? Or maybe it's someone who you know, and I know we all have them in our lives, someone that you know who is having a difficult time in their home situation. Maybe it's someone who has been abused previously. Maybe it's someone who they just don't have a good relationship with their close family, and now they're stuck in the same house with them. Imagine being that person. So this week, I want you guys to show mercy. And while you're showing mercy, I want you to take a picture, just a quick selfie. Maybe it is dropping groceries at somebody's door and you take a selfie of that. Or if it is cleaning up someone's yard, you take a selfie. Or if it is whatever it would be, I want you to take a selfie. I want you to tag us on Instagram at REMIX Student Ministries. And we want to see how you guys are being a good neighbor this week. We want to see how you are ministering to the people around you. And I know at the beginning of this social distancing, I challenged you guys a few things, and I challenged you to invest your time wisely, right? To not just spend it foolishly, but to invest it wisely, to invest it in your relationship with the Lord, to invest your time in your family, invest your time in growing the kingdom of God. And what better way to grow the kingdom of God than to be a good neighbor, right? So I want to leave you with one more verse here I have in Mark chapter 8. We're going to read 34 through 38. It says, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must turn from your selfish ways, take up your cross, and follow me. If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, and for the sake of the good news, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul? Is anything worth more than your soul? If anyone is ashamed of me and my message in these adulterous and sinful days, the Son of Man will be ashamed of that person when he returns to the glory of his Father with the holy angels. So this week, God is calling us to take up our cross, to be a good neighbor, to reach out to people, and to love on them the way Christ loves us, right? Let's take up our cross. Let's follow him. We can, of course, be very selfish with our time, right? It's easy to be selfish. It's easy to binge watch Netflix. It's easy to and just sit at home and do nothing, right? Take naps all day. It's easy to be selfish with our time, but let's take up our cross. Let's follow him. And just as Jesus asked, are we being a good neighbor? Are you being a good neighbor? Are you being a good friend? Are you being a good student? All right. So are we being good stewards of the time that God has given us? Because I was reading this week a book, and it was about living with less, and it was in reference to, they were sharing a story about how their grandmother died, and they weren't thinking about all the things that they wanted to buy her, or the things that they wanted to give her, or the glamorous vacations they wanted to take her on, but they were thinking of time, and they were thinking of how they would have invested it differently if they'd known, how they would have spent time with her, right? So let's invest our time as we are in our homes. Let's invest our times in our families, in our relationship with God, and also, especially this week, invest it in growing the kingdom of God. I will see you guys all later. I'm glad you could join with us on this short devotional. Again, join us Friday night. We are going to have a Zoom call. It'll be the same time, same place, right? 8:30, same place as in your house, right? So join with us Friday night on that. Also, you can join Wednesday. We have a Zoom call with Pastor. He does a midweek devotion. So you can join us Wednesday night at 7 for that. Also, there is a Bible app. There's a new plan this week. Join us in doing the Bible plan. And also at the Mercer County Fairgrounds, they are doing a drive-through Odos kind of thing. And I know we are sad that we can't do Odos because I loved it last year. I loved getting to decorate a room with people and also to walk through and experience that with people. So they are doing a drive-through Odos kind of thing at the Mercer County Fairgrounds. That is Friday night, Saturday, and also Sunday. So make sure you check that out and join us Friday night at 7 p.m. at the church. We are going to do family communion and a Good Friday little service. So join us for that. Have a good week, and make sure you are taking selfies and sharing how you are being a good neighbor this week. We will see you later.